So she used to bother me by saying this, but after listening, I really started to pay attention to it and apply it. And I think that it worked, so let's get into it.
Hey guys, have you heard the good news? Fake tradcons have solved all of your romantic problems. You can now find a girl at church and get married ASAP. Don't even worry about the risks. Just man up and marry these hoes. Don't think, just go for it. It'll probably be fine. And if you don't, you're probably one of those doomer red pillars who hate women. The opposition of feminists, or so fake tradcons have been telling me. You see, what people like the tradcons at the Daily Wire have been saying the past few years is that with a few extra steps, marriage is totally safe now.
Young men, we're just going to cut right to it. Find a woman, fall in love, get married, have more children than you can afford.
Well, now they say grow up and then get married. And in the past, they said get married and grow up.
So that you can grow up.
I mean, I think, frankly, people are getting married too late on average. Right now, I think it's 28 for men and 26 for women. I think it's way too late.
In a marriage where you have children, nurture provider roles are very valuable. What do I mean by that? Nurture and provide. Both parents do both. Fathers should nurture their kids. Mothers should provide. But specifically for mothers of young children.
Divorce rates have been dropping, and all you've got to do is be religious, and the risk is almost completely eliminated. Fake tradcons have also pointed out that marriage is always awesome, and married men wind up being richer, happier, and healthier than all you single losers out there. So don't delay. Find yourself that born-again virgin, the retired OnlyFans hoe, and tie the knot right away. God will absolve her of all of her sins, so you should too. I'm sure those tattoos will laser right off. Never mind that the church is the last stop on the whore train. Of course, the reality is drastically different. When I started putting together a divorce documentary a few years ago, I could not understand why so many men did not want to get married. But then I was exposed to a vast sea of horror stories of how men were treated in marriage and divorce court. One after another, accounts of dozens upon dozens of men going through hell on earth and being ground into dust underneath a boot heel of a corrupt system. Many of these horror stories come from men who were religious. In fact, one of the worst horror stories I ever heard, an utterly harrowing tale that I will never forget, came from a man who attended the exact same church as the fanatically religious marriage pusher-in-chief, Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire.
I'm just saying how people ought to behave. And they ought to get married, is what I'm saying.
Okay, well,
which is implied by our nature, which is the is. Because it is good for men to be married and to have children.
Of course, in reality, conservative commentators frequently mislead men about marriage in a number of ways. Their motivations for this act of deception are twofold. One, they don't care about calling for divorce reform because they don't want to piss off their female audience. Women, particularly those of marriageable age, are much less likely to become conservatives. Highlighting the corruption of the divorce system, one of the few examples of institutional sexism that actually exists, would force conservatives to mention how some women have shamelessly taken advantage of the system to snatch more than their fair share or even to brutally punish their ex-husbands via lawfare. And God forbid you should offend all of those aspiring tradwives who tune into the Daily Wire, the raisin brand of online political commentary, or threaten to take away their massive safety net should the tradwives decide to turn hypocrite and quit their marriage. At best, conservative commentators will occasionally throw a lukewarm statement.
So okay, okay, I as a lady, sometimes even how Pearl talks, I try to keep up and I'm like, what? Wait, what? Like, and I might have to slow it down and rewind it a little bit because it's a lot that she puts into sentences for me. But the main thing that I'm catching here is that she isn't wrong about the traditional wife basically not following through on her part. I think that is the main issue of why men are afraid to. They know what is right and that it is right to go ahead and get married and go ahead and have children and things like that. But where we're falling short of is that we're not following up with it as traditional wives. That, yeah, your husband took you on as the whore that you were and your past and all your mistakes, and that you're a Christian now and you understand that God has forgiven you for those things. So then now what you do, as nature does, because I did the same thing, is that you then are like, oh, well, I'm absolved of everything. I'm Miss Perfect again. I'm Miss Virgin again. No, you're not. The thing is that you got to understand is that you are blessed now to have a husband that saw you through your flaws and took you on. And then you see him with his flaws and you take him on. That is what is showing that we each as individuals are not perfect. The only one that is perfect is Jesus, that can save us, and understand that we all need a savior, and that we all fall short, and that we all can be renewed and restored. I think that maybe Pearl comes from a good, in a sense, she's coming from a good place for the gentleman, because it sucks. Like, you get with this lady and you're doing the right thing and you're getting married and you're doing what is right because y'all are more benevolent. You get with this lady and then she's just ungrateful and just a biatch, just for no reason. And I think that what that comes from is from us ladies saying that, oh, that's just how we are, that, oh, that's just okay. No, get it together. Be grateful for something. Then that reason why you don't know why you aren't liking your husband, are feeling still irritated at things when you wake up in the morning, well, that's on you. That's your decision and your choice. Start understanding that, oh, I need to be grateful for the things that I do have, because very quickly you start thinking that you're owed something, that you're better than. Remind yourself that, oh, wait, but I was an OnlyFans before. Oh, wait, I was pretty much out here in the streets, dude. So let me remind myself of those things. But we like to do is, oh, now we're saved. Now we're better. Now we're married. So now I'm here and I'm better than him now. What? Like, you need to remind yourself daily almost how much that isn't true. So I think Pearl's coming from a good place, honestly. But yeah, I think that that's more of the in-depth of the traditional wife ex used to be whores, because that's what that is. You know, we need to work on that as ladies, for real. And I had to do it myself. I really did. So let's get into it.
Acknowledging that the divorce system is corrupt, before adding that it'll never be reformed in our lifetime, and so men might as well take the risk of getting married anyway. The second motivation is many conservatives are secretly happy with the divorce system as it now stands, at least partially, because it allows them to sell their religion as a vital part of the solution. If divorce law was reformed to be more equitable and less biased against men, then fake tradcons wouldn't be able to say that having a religion substantially reduces the chances of divorce. As we shall see, that claim is a significant exaggeration, and in certain cases, it's an outright lie. As for you seculars, fake tradcons really couldn't care less. Though they may not openly say it, secular marriage is an abomination in their eyes, and ultimately, you deserve what you get. And what does it matter if hundreds of millions of men across the world continue to have their families torn apart, their finances destroyed, with them becoming paying spectators of their children's lives, if it means fake tradcons get to add a few more bodies to the congregation with the claim that religion reduces risk? Ask Steven Crowder how that one worked out. So how do conservatives gloss over the risks of men face in marriage? First, they gleefully point out that the divorce rate has been declining. It's no longer the cliche 50%. According to most reliable estimates from sources like the American Psychological Association, the U.S. Census Bureau, and the Center for Disease Control, the divorce rate has declined from roughly a 55% peak around 1980 to somewhere between 40 and 45% today. The decrease is mostly due to the marriage rate being almost cut in half since 1980 and unmarried cohabitation skyrocketing since then. If there was a sudden rush for marriage across society, it would almost certainly rise again. But the divorce rate isn't just a simple calculation. It's all based on population samples and surveys to get a crude number of divorces per 1,000 people. Then further estimates and projections are required to give us the more familiar percentages of 40, 45, or 50% of all marriages failing. The extra calculations required allow room for deliberate deception. Certain pro-marriage activists and conservative commentators have employed specific data sets and population samples, along with some creative accounting, to claim that the divorce rate is actually 35% or even as low as 30%, with some conservatives like Christian scholar and social researcher Shetooktheredpillchat claiming that the divorce rate is no higher than 25%. This is delusional nonsense. But there you have it. According to the commentators who deliberately want men to nut up and get hitched, the odds of your marriage falling apart aren't 50-50. They're 1 in 3 or even as low as 1 in 4. Now, you might argue that if you started your car in the morning and there was a 25 to 35% chance of your car exploding, you'd be more likely to just take the bus. But for marriage advocates, a 25 to 35% chance of having your life ruined and your finances destroyed is an acceptable risk for men to take, for God and country. For perspective, the odds are actually worse than a round of Russian roulette. Of course, as mentioned, the most reliable estimates for the modern divorce rate are currently between 40 and 45% of all marriages failing, slightly less than half. Not exactly great.
I think what is wild about this is that because this is where, again, I understand now why Kevin Samuels was started off talking to the dudes and then switched over to the ladies, because guess what? Even if we start off on the right foot, okay, the man does the right thing. He goes and gets married. He gets with the girl. He has babies with her. Now what? Now what is that we don't follow through on our end as far as stay together, daggone it. Like get some nobody's perfect attitude about you, and understand that you are definitely far from perfect, and understand that it's not about you. Life is not about you. It is about how you can serve others and serve God by doing so. And we live in a high society of that. If you're not happy in this, and screw that. It's not happiness, it's holiness. You need to understand that not every day you're going to be you're not gonna want to do something, but you do it out of what is right. And that's why men are more benevolent in that way. Women of old understood that. They understood that, yeah, you may wake up sometimes and not feel like it or want to, but screw that. It's not about you. It's about the betterment of others, and the others being your family, you know? And I think that that is the biggest issue that we have, that we need to understand as ladies, and switch it around on ourselves, because we can only control ourselves. We can't control what men do. We can only control what we do.
Yeah, duty over feelings. It would be nice if we could get women to decide that that their part is just as important as our part. Like, if you leave it to men to try to save the world, what it seems to me that they're saying is that if you leave it to men to try to save the world, that's what the conservatives are saying. And then what she's saying is, yes, you can wife these hoes, but at what point do they take responsibility
and accountability,
not destroy a male's life because of it? So
because even within my own range of sight of marriages and people and things like that, there's the wife that is complaining or can't understand why she's not happy or grateful or anything like that. And the reason why that is because you're not being appreciative. You're not seeing your blessings. You're only focusing on the lack. And that is exactly why we bit from the fruit first in the Garden of Eden. It goes back to the very beginning of time. But in order to do things properly, walk back and do what's right, and understand that the men are doing what's right. They're still like, okay, all right, I'll still wife this hoe. I'll still take her on for what she is, because they're more benevolent in that way. And I used to hate that feeling, but rather than hate that feeling that, dang it, they're more benevolent, take that as a challenge. Like, let me try to be more benevolent as a lady, and do it about take it as a challenge and be more benevolent on your end, because at the end of the day, you can only control what your actions are and what you do. You can't control that man. You can't control what he does. You can't make him make you happy. That's all you like. But I think that's where Pearl's coming from, is that, dude, it's just the ladies, they're not getting it. They're not appreciative. They're not understanding. And that I agree with her. I really do. So let's get back into it.
With the average length of a marriage being roughly 8 years. Hardly a picture of till death do us part, unless you happen to be a heroin addict or you've got yourself a dose of cancer. In reality, 40 to 45% is not that big of a difference from the 50-50 coin toss the general public associates with divorce. But conservatives are desperate to exaggerate just how much the divorce rate is declining. So men feel more comfortable taking the plunge. Damn the risks, marry these hoes, Godspeed. The next way fake tradcons tend to manipulate men towards marriage is by offering them the silver bullet that if you become conservative and choose a religious girl, your chances of divorce are substantially reduced. One set of statistics that has been passed around by marriage advocates and conservative commentators are the ones compiled by Megan Cooper, a purple-haired amateur historian who writes fluff for the bubblegum lifestyle website LoveToKnow.com. Cooper's article was then copy and pasted almost verbatim to the websites of a few law firms, where doubtless the numbers looked more and more credible. This is where marriage advocates found them and spread them across social media as if they were fact. So widespread are they now that they are in fact the top Google search, and AI researchers like Grok mistakenly reference them. According to Megan Cooper's numbers, which she calculated somewhat haphazardly and inaccurately from a Pew survey data, I will spare you the joke about women in math. According to her, Catholics have a 19% divorce rate, Orthodox a 9%, Jews a 9%, Muslims 8%, and Hindus 5%, all of which seem substantially smaller than a U.S. average of 40 to 45%. Then Cooper provides a 51% divorce rate for mainstream Protestants, which people uncritically think accounts for the high national average. In reality, the 51%, which has been parroted on law firm websites and across the internet, appears to have been a plain old miscalculation on Cooper's part. The highest divorce rates were among Protestants, according to Cooper's own data, are evangelicals and born-again Christians with a 28% and 33% respectively, neither of which would explain the 51% average. Nevertheless, all of these percentages seem like a substantially reduced risk, making it appear as all you got to do is get right with God and you'll wind up with an adorable wife in a sundress who bakes cherry pies all day. But what most people don't seem to notice is these numbers are not lifetime divorce rates. Instead, they are a snapshot of the number of divorced people at any given time. The percentages don't take into account these people who have remarried. And we know divorce rates are worse for second and third marriages. And what marriage advocates and conservative commentators often neglect to mention about Cooper's data is that the divorce rate for atheists is 2%, which law firms inflated to 11% to look slightly less ridiculous. This is the stuff that is currently being widely cited online as fact. Conservative commentators just tend not to mention the atheist number. Either way, the low divorce rate for atheists would seemingly imply that the reduced risk has nothing to do with religion. But something doesn't add up. On the other hand, if we correct Megan Cooper's math and derive lifetime divorce rates from the same Pew data, it paints a drastically different picture. People with no religion have a lifetime divorce rate of 48%. Evangelicals have a divorce rate of 46%. Mainstream Protestants, 42%. Historically Black Protestants, 54%. Catholics, 35%. Orthodox, 33%. Jews, 33%. Muslims, 24%. And Hindus, 15%. For Christian denominations and Judaism, that means your odds of divorce lie between 1 in 3 and 1 in 2. Not exactly that much of a reduction of risk. And given that most American conservatives are Christian, they are probably not exactly thrilled with the idea of your best bet.
And this is why it is important that it is not a religion but a relationship with God, because clearly that those who are claiming being a Christian, they're not applying it properly. Because if you apply the things properly, that it will work. But I think what is happening is that we're claiming Christianity as ladies that are born again as Christians, but then not applying it properly and following through as a proper Christian woman, which is understanding that you too were nothing and needed a savior, and you expect your husband to carry your cross for you. You got to carry your own cross, and you got to understand that there is not there's only so much that your leader of your household can do, because then at some point it falls on you, because that's the way that it goes. It's a ladder for a reason, you know? So yeah, I think that yet again, this is just proving, her numbers and everything is just proving that the men are coming through as far as it goes within Christianity of doing what is right and proper. The women are not coming through and following through properly. So yeah, I mean, she's not wrong, but I don't think that that's a reason to not try. But I think that, ladies, we gotta start getting it together. And when you are with this man and you're in the relationship and you're wondering, why am I still not happy? Why am I still not happy? That'd be horrible. Why am I still not joyful, like what it says that I could be in the Bible? Why am I still not at peace? Understand that that is because of you. That is not his fault. That is something that you have to work on within yourself and stop bothering him. And that's why, you know, it is biblical to be quiet I did not like hearing that ever. Like, and I had to keep going through it. Okay, why don't I like that? Why don't I like hearing that I need to be quiet? Why don't I like it? And when I did that, what I found was that, because the truth is that more than I'd probably say like 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be the one that is going to start something or stir up something, say something that I probably shouldn't have said, because A, I am the weaker vessel, and 2, I am more prone to biting the fruit. This is all biblical. And rather than being upset about it, understand that it's your role, it's your position, and that then you can actually do what is right by knowing. And that's what men do every day, is like they understand that, this is what I am, this is what I need to do, okay, let me move forward and move properly. They understand these things, and we learned that through them. Like my husband taught me how to do that because he does it, and I'm like, how do you do that? How does he do that? So use that as fuel to take it as a challenge. Yet again, I can do it right. You want to be a man so bad. I'm talking to myself too. Sorry, I'm not coming at you like that. You want to be a man so bad. Well, let me try it. Let me try to do like how good you do. Still, I will falter and fall short of it more than he will. And that bothers me. But every day it's a challenge to try to be as great and benevolent that my husband is. And I think that that's beautiful. I think that that is better for the both of you, you know? So yeah, let's get back into it. Oh, okay. I think that just for now that's enough. And I just pray that it gets out there to these ladies. God bless y'all. And I'll see you in the next one.